to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Let's go! Attack! 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 Satellite! Satellite! Satellite!
A name.
Wide receiver, Jerry Rice.
A number. A team. A day for celebrating a special kind of destiny. All that had come before were not alone, but once and forever of a place, a street, a neighborhood where they cheered a boy who was about to put their home on the map. A place where his triumphs were theirs. Every spring, months before the sun-baked summer training camps, this is where the season truly begins. With a ritual, renewal. With the welcome of those lucky few who will make that next step. Those idols of so many eyes on streets, in neighborhoods, in towns across America. Boys, now men who will suddenly put their homes on the NFL map.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Knoxville, Tennessee.
Allen, South Carolina.
Big Stone Gap, Virginia.
A name, a number, a team. A day for celebrating a special kind of destiny. A day for welcoming local heroes to the big show. Draft Day.
If you use any of these 4 tools on your dog, we need to talk. I've worn all of these and can tell you exactly what's wrong with each one. Number 1, slip leads. They tighten every time I pull, with all that tension crushing my delicate throat. Not only am I scared of pain and choking, the other risks include nerve damage and tracheal collapse. Number 2, the head harness. My biggest issue with this are the raw marks, but it can get as serious as lasting neck and spinal injuries. So I'll spend our entire walk pawing at it or rubbing my nose on the ground. Number 3, prong collars. Nothing's worse than this. That's why they're illegal in many countries. It leaves deep marks in my net while only offering you limited control. My vet says they cause more harm than good. Number 4, the back clip harness. While this style is super common, the clip on my back activates my opposition reflex, my instinct that makes me pull harder when something holds me from behind. The reason all these tools fail is identical. They either cause me pain or they accidentally reward my pulling. That's why you don't need 4 different walking tools. You just need one that fixes the root cause of my pulling. Luckily, researchers invented this no-pull D-ring. It works using simple physics. When I pull, the D-ring gently redirects me back toward you. There's no choking, pinching, or face pressure, so I can actually relax and learn fast that pulling doesn't get me anywhere. This is exactly why my mom got the dog-friendly co-harness. It comes with the front ring that ends pulling instantly. It's trusted by 600,000 plus dog parents who now enjoy smooth walks, and recommended by vets because it helps with pulling without hurting dogs. Plus, it's extremely easy to put on, so it also reduces my harness anxiety. While every dog learns at their own pace, most owners see a difference instantly. One dog mom said her 7-year pulling problem disappeared on the first walk, and if you don't like it, you're covered by a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose.
It got stuck in the branch that it was growing on, and then it also has a line from where it was strung on the plant, but still perfectly edible, just not visually as aesthetic as what we consider perfect produce.
It's misshapen. That's not allowed to go into a box to go to a retail market. There's a lot of food that gets wasted because it doesn't have this perfect appearance. But inevitably, you're gonna have produce that doesn't meet that standard. We call those number 2s.
This is another example of a number 2. 2 grew into 1, absolutely edible and tasty and delicious.
And so by working with someone like Misfits, we have this beautiful, healthy, organic produce that's absolutely edible that we can package and sell to you guys.
On farms, fruits and vegetables get tossed for so many different reasons. When they have a funny shape, when they're too big or too small, or even when they have just too many to sell. And it's mostly because traditional grocery stores don't want to buy these products. They only want the best looking stuff. And it's not just fresh produce. It's the parts of the salmon that just aren't as popular. It's cookies when they get new branding or new packaging. It's pasta noodles when they get packaged in the wrong box. At Misfits Market, we buy all that perfectly good food. And we pass on savings to our customers. We've rescued nearly 200 million pounds of high quality food, and we're just getting started. Go to misfitsmarket.com to start saving money by saving food.
And a view of the Statue of Liberty. For years, a symbol of hope, a symbol of dreams of a new life and new fortune. And never could that be truer than this weekend annually in April, when the likes of Courtney Brown, defensive end of Penn State, and his Nittany Lions teammate LaVar Arrington, the linebacker, and the big tackle from Alabama, Chris Samuels, and the speedster from Florida State, Peter Warrick, and the classy running backs from Virginia, Thomas Jones. That's just the tip of the iceberg of those young men who will begin their professional career officially here in the coming hours. The Jets in New York. They've been talking New York, New York. Never before has a team had 4 first-round picks. But before the Jets get the pick, the Giants had 11 of the pick right before them, and they are here, as are fans from the Dog Pound, the Cleveland Browns, who, of course, are on the clock in their second year of existence. Here we are in New York for the 65th annual National Football League selection meeting. We got to say it.
2000 NFL Draft was held from April 15th to the 16th at the theater at Madison Square Garden in New York City, New York.
The NFL Draft. It has become an event. I mean, just listen to the crowd. It's almost like week 1 in the NFL is starting right here. And certainly in Cleveland, they've been anticipating this day since the Browns finished their inaugural rebirth season with a bye in week 17. They've been on the clock. They knew they would have their choice of great players, players who they hope, along with Tim Couch, the #1 pick last year, will be cornerstones of this new franchise for the next 10 or 12 years. And when you say cornerstone, how fitting is it that a guy named Brown, Courtney Brown, looks to be the first draft pick of the Cleveland Browns in the new millennium? Is he signed yet? Let's head out to Lake Erie and join our Susie Colbert. Hi, Suze.
Hi, Chris. Well, for the second year in a row, the Browns do get their man before the draft begins. Carmen Policy told me just minutes ago that he does know that they have come to terms, but he hasn't gotten the official call that Courtney Brown is signed. But here's what we do know. One of the stumbling blocks was terms. The Cleveland Browns wanted 7 years. Courtney Brown wanted 6 years. The Browns gave in. And while he won't make as much as Tim Couch did over the long term, he will make more over the first 3 years. And that's a little more expensive than what they expected to pay for a non-quarterback. Now the question will be asked, why Courtney Brown over LaVar Arrington when LaVar Arrington was actually rated a decimal point higher on the board in the war room? Well, Chris Palmer told me yesterday that while he certainly likes LaVar Arrington, he loves Courtney Brown. He pointed out that last year they were a league-low 25 sacks. Courtney Brown is just so fast to the quarterback. A record at Penn State, 33 sacks. That's what they're expecting. Chris?
All right, Susie, we'll be going to you early and often in these 2 days as the Browns have a total of 14 picks, of course, including #1. To open proceedings officially, who else? The Commissioner of the National Football League, Paul Tagliabue.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the first NFL college player draft of the new millennium. We appreciate all the fans who are here with us this afternoon. We thank you for being here. We appreciate the millions of fans who are watching on ESPN. The first selection in the NFL Draft 2000 belongs to the Cleveland Browns, who are now on the clock.
All right, Commissioner, thank you. We'll be seeing him often and visiting with the Commissioner after the first round is over to ask some questions about where the league is headed in the new millennium, as he points out. While we have never before, in our continuing expansion of the coverage of the draft, been in all 31 sites, the reporters, teleconferencing, war room cams. We're everywhere. When we say we're everywhere, we're not kidding. We're probably at cities that don't even have teams yet. We're located there as well. And in this Y2K, we try to move with the times here at ESPN. We have merged our television coverage with the internet, the location Draft Central at ESPN.com or NFL.com. It's your opportunity to watch and participate in our draft coverage. You can follow us wall to wall while going more in-depth online with our draft tracker and chats. You get extensive coverage of your favorite team. And with our on-the-clock fan poll, you can get to cast your vote live for who you think your team should pick while they're on the clock. And, of course, those Cleveland fans, they already know Courtney Brown is in the lead on our first fan poll here as we speak. Now, the question, Mel Kiper and Joe Theismann. The question, Mel, is you're the general manager, not of the Browns, because they have a good general manager in Dwight Clark. They got a good president in Carmen Policy. If you're making the first pick in this draft, is it Courtney Brown or LaVar Arrington from Penn State?
LaVar Arrington for me, Chris. I've had him as the #1 player since back in December, January. One team ecstatic right now, the Washington Redskins. In order to have a successful draft, Arrington had to be part of the Redskins equation. Brings an attitude, a passion to the game, elevates the performance of everybody in that front seven on that defense. And LaVar Arrington, a special player, not just like Courtney Brown. 70 career tackles for loss for Courtney Brown. He has the ability as a pass rusher, as a defensive end, almost 6'5", 270 pounds.
Introducing the new Knit and Sew Shop at Michael's. Discover hundreds of yarn skeins in a range of colors and textures, with all your favorite brands together in one place. Shop the new Knit and Sew Shop, only at Michael's. Everything to create anything.
Welcome to Joss & Main, the ultimate style edit for home. Here, we curate the latest trends every season, hand vet them for quality, and ship them fast and free. Whatever your style, bring it home with Joss & Main.
To elevate that Cleveland Browns defense. They talked about the ability of the defensive end to get after the quarterback. It's exactly what Courtney Brown will bring to that Cleveland Browns defense. You see the size, that 270, 275, where Arrington has that ability to go out and just dominate, intimidate, play the game with so much passion. Humble, soft-spoken as Courtney Brown. He needs to develop a little bit more of a mean streak at the pro level. Remember, every offensive tackle in the National Football League knows every trick in the book, how to keep defensive ends at bay. So it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts to the great offensive tackles in the NFL rather than at the college level. So if he turns up the intensity, gains that mean streak with his physical and athletic ability and his work ethic, Courtney Brown has a chance to be a heck of a defensive end in the NFL, Joe.
Now, I think there's one thing you have to consider. When you look at a defensive end, defensive ends are so hard to find. Courtney Brown is one of those unique men who can become the staple of your defense. It's an anchor. You can give him an opportunity to play all the time. That's a big thing. I think when you get to Arrington, he's going to have to be a situation player for whoever he winds up, probably the Redskins. They'll have to find ways for him to fit in. I really think that Courtney Brown, in the case of the Cleveland Browns, is an excellent pick. 31st against sacks, 31st in interceptions, 31st in run defense. Really bad on defense in every area, Chris. And I think if you've got a chance to get a kid that you can start with as a staple, it's a good way to go. And I like Brown here.
The defensive end is your defensive home run hitter.
He really is. And he's there for a long time, too.
There are a lot of home runs being hit in Cleveland here the last decade. And so here's another guy, except he's doing it in football. So Courtney Brown will be the man for Cleveland shortly, officially. Of course, we have some home run hitters ourselves working on this draft, not the least of which our compatriots up on our second set here in New York, Mike Tirico and Chris Mortensen. Guys, top of the draft, we think we have scoped out. The key word, we think.
That's right, Chris. Let's look at the next level of the draft, Mort, with Washington sitting at 2 and 3 because of the Ricky Williams trade last year. That's New Orleans' pick at number 2. Will Washington be happy if they get LaVar Arrington and Samuels, the offensive tackle from Alabama?
They will be ecstatic. In fact, they have refused to even bite on nibbles in terms of trying to trade up to the #1 spot, make sure they get LaVar Arrington. In fact, I tell you, interesting story is yesterday there was a bump in negotiations between Courtney Brown and Marvin Demoff, in the Cleveland Browns. In fact, what happened there, the Browns then tried to call Kevin Poston, the agent for LaVar Arrington, as they did last year, playing Achilles Smith against Tim Couch. Kevin Poston LaVar Arrington's representative refused to return the phone call, basically saying, we want to go to the Redskins. And the Redskins certainly knew that they wanted Arrington, Arrington wanted them.
The way it should shake down, Cincinnati at 4 would then take Peter Warrick. My question to you, why no Warrick to Washington?
Well, you know what I was told at the owners' meetings? It's all because of Desmond Howard. If you remember, Desmond Howard was taken, I think, the 4th pick in the draft a few years back. Desmond Howard was a bust. Redskins fans haven't forgotten it, and they really needed a left tackle in this draft. They wanted a premier one. The premier one's Chris Samuels of Alabama.
5 spot belongs to Baltimore, and if we had a guess to handicap the next hour, 5 is going to be the hot spot. Why? One of the moves has to do with a possible free agent signing for Baltimore.
Well, the key signing for the Baltimore Ravens. They signed Sam Adams. They reached an agreement in principle with Sam Adams on a $20 million deal. What that allows them to do now is to trade out of the 5 spot if they want.
Browns had the first pick in the 2000 NFL Draft. The year prior in the 1999 NFL Draft, the Browns also had the first pick there, selecting quarterback Tim Couch as their future franchise quarterback. The Browns in this draft would select a defensive end out of Penn State. In college, he had 33 quarterback sacks during his college football career, and at the time of his departure, he held the school record for career sacks and career tackles for loss with 70. The Browns were looking for edge help coming into this draft, and were looking for a key defensive player that helped them defensively.
2 of the Jets' first-round picks. The Jets' own pick, 12, 13, 18, 27. Sounds like the lotto numbers. We'll see if it's a jackpot down the road. Tom Jackson is down the road at Jets headquarters. Tommy, are the Jets burning up the phone as we bring you in to look for a trade?
Well, I think as you look at the Jets' strategy for the day, they have the luxury with the 4 choices of trying to fill 3 starting spots on their ball club. I know that they want to do that. Certainly, Corey Simon holds interest for a lot of ball clubs up between 5 and 10. I think they obviously have to fill the wide receiver slot that is left with the absence now of Keyshawn Johnson, and an outside linebacker, defensive end, rush type. And from knowing Coach Al Groh and Bill Parcells, they want somebody who's going to be on the field for all 3 downs. So I think when you look at this ball club, you know, they have the juice to do a lot of things today, and I think that's why it sets such an exciting precedent here at Jets camp.
Well, Tommy, we will don't leave on us now, because I mean, we're going to need to come to you every 2 or 3 minutes. And
that's fine.
And it's never before seen a team with 4 picks in the first round. What is it, 15 times someone said 3 first-round picks, but never before 4 first-round picks. That'll be the Jets. And we'll see if, and indeed, they make a move, or they're well-positioned where they are. Well, Cleveland hopes they're not in this position next year, because that would mean 3 years in a row. 1 expansion, and then 2 in a row, they would have the worst record in the NFL, and they probably won't. Although they know that to move up the charts, Joe, you got to stop somebody.
All you have to do is look at the numbers, Chris. 31 rushed yards, 31 total, 31st sacks, 8 sacks, 25 sacks, 8 interceptions. When you look at this defense, there were so many different holes. You have to understand, it was a defense that was put together with players that came from 32 different systems.
Picture this. Saving up to 10% when you bundle your home and auto insurance with USAA. Some things just click. Get a quote today.
They really just felt their way last year, and it showed just in their statistical outcomes. I think what you're going to have to understand is Courtney Brown now can become an anchor. That's where you can start. Now you can start to fill in the younger guys around them. I think the next area they're going to have to certainly address will be the defensive secondary. But you have to get pressure on the quarterback. Every coach today says we want to try and be able to generate offense. A good way to stop that is to get some pressure on the quarterback. They can do it with the Courtney Brown.
How do these things all come to pass? How did the ratings right at the top change here, Mel?
Really, Chris, the workouts. Individual workouts were the key in the equation to separate Warrick, Arrington, and Brown. And when you look at it, Arrington and Brown were phenomenal. You look at LaVar Arrington and the 4.54 speed, also 20 reps at 225, and about a 40-inch vertical jump. Courtney Brown at about 270, that 4.52 is amazing. Also had a 37-inch vertical jump and did 26 reps, whereas Peter Warwick ran that 4.640. He's only 5'10 and a half. You factor in the off-the-field concerns, it's easy to see why Brown, Arrington separated from Peter Warwick, but it's still an honor, Joe, to be the 4th pick overall. So for Peter Warwick, you dropped a little bit, but hey, what's wrong with that?
Well, nothing's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with that. And he has a chance to, if he goes to Cincinnati, we'll have a chance to discuss it, be part of the solution to what clearly has been a problem. And that should be exciting to a young man. But you know that Courtney Brown is excited. Tommy Jackson, you've played, well, certainly been around guys, maybe not that many, who have this sort of ability at the defensive end position. What does that do if you are a defensive teammate of Courtney Brown's? What assumptions can you make on defense, knowing that he's there taking care of a couple of guys, let's say?
Well, Chris, he is going to be a playmaker, and he's going to be a guy who's going to get the attention of, as you say, 2 or 3 guys defensively. In talking to his Penn State coach, Jerry Sandusky, he said he's very coachable, and I think that the thing that's going to separate him is the outstanding athleticism. Let's take a closer look at Courtney Brown. 267 pounds, and look at the athleticism as he gets up, shows a great set of hands, and then watch Drew Brees trying to chase him down as Courtney goes for the touchdown here. Outstanding athleticism. Here taking on the double team, going to be coming from the top of the screen right there. Again, the low center of gravity. Look at the drive through the ball, and doing this with a broken left hand cast on the hand. He is a relentless pass rusher in the mode of Bruce Smith, and that's why he draws the comparisons. Blocked at the line of scrimmage here initially. You see him continue to fight toward the football, finally able to throw the tackle off, spin out of it, and then look at the hand work down low. And as he lines up on the same side as his counterpart, LaVar Arrington, look at the quickness right there at the point of attack as he grabs Drew Brees and sacks him. Now, when you hear a guy compared to the next Bruce Smith, I think the comparisons are physical. You're talking about a kid that has an outstanding wingspan. He has good size, great quickness off the ball, and I think he's going to be an outstanding pro. The attitude is what will separate Courtney Brown from the rest. Boomer?
He truly is, Tommy, night and day. Yes, sir, no, sir, firm handshake, soft-spoken, and then on the field, yikes. Dwight Clark told me, the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, that of the 3 best football players he has ever been around, one of them was Bryant Young, and the difference that he made on that team in San Francisco and the way he handled himself as a human being and as a football player. He said, Courtney Brown, I see a Bryant Young type, and that's a pretty good endorsement, although you hate to put a tag of some of the best players on a player like this. Now, we told you, obviously, the Jets have 4 picks. Here's a big picture of the day. We've never seen this many teams have multiple picks. The Skins, who are coming up 2 and 3 with a pair. Baltimore with 2 picks in the top 10. San Francisco has 2 picks as they've moved backwards as the week's gone on. The Seattle Seahawks have 2 picks courtesy of Joey Galloway. That means there are a handful of teams that have no picks, like the Saints, Ricky Williams. San Diego, no surprise. Tampa Bay because of Keyshawn Johnson. New England because of Bill Belichick. Atlanta, Dallas with Galloway, and Miami. So those 7 teams have no first-round picks. Unlike the last couple of years, where last year quarterback was 1, 2, 3, and 5 in the top half of the draft, and the year before with Manning and Leaf, quarterback was 1, 2. This is more a nuts and bolts at the very top of the draft. Defense hasn't been first since 1994, since Cincinnati took Big Daddy Wilkinson. So we've had 5 years when an offensive player has gone at the top of the draft. This is kind of going back to the roots a little bit, and then you're probably going to have tackle and linebacker next before your first skill player. However, look for a half dozen receivers to go, started by Peter Warwick. Look for 4 running backs to go, probably in the top 21, if not higher than that, although you never know. So there will be some skill players, you know, from college, but probably only 1 quarterback, Chad Pennington. So a little different flavor than the last couple of years if you've watched the draft. Wanted to give you the big picture before we get into the microbreweries, which we begin with Cleveland's pick officially to the podium and the commissioner. And the fan poll, almost 50% say what? That they should pick Courtney Brown, and guess what? The other 50%, you're out of luck. There he is. There he is, and to Cleveland he shall be.
first choice in the NFL Draft 2000, the Cleveland Browns select Courtney Brown, defensive end, Penn State.
At ShopRite, we give back here. To date, we've donated over $45 million to local charities. Join us as we shoot for another $2 million in donations this year as the title sponsor of the ShopRite LPGA powered by Wakefern. ShopRite, we are here.
Introducing our biggest GMC Acadia ever. Offering bigger screens and bigger tech, like available Super Cruise hands-free driving. Live your biggest life in the new GMC Acadia. Get 1.9% APR on GMC Acadia models, plus get $750 purchase allowance when you finance through GM Financial. We are professional grade.
6'4", 269 from Alvin, South Carolina. And a lot of his family's up. I met a couple of his young nephew. They're all so polite. They're all so excited. And then they should be. What a great day this is. You've worked hard, and you talk about a hard worker. Here he is.
Chris, I think you bring up a great point. Here's a young man that's really earned this opportunity. He has worked hard. He did outstanding things at Penn State. He showed an awful lot of quickness, an awful lot of speed. He's not the biggest guy, which really impresses me. I think his frame can get bigger. I think it's fair, as Tommy mentioned, to say this could be the next Bruce Smith that we're talking about. Maybe doesn't have the length of the arms, maybe doesn't have the size up front. I think the big thing for him, he's going to have to learn to take on double teams. The big thing that young defensive ends have to learn is they've got to find complementary moves. He can't just be an outside rusher. He's going to have to rely on power and strength, and he'll have to wind up with some type of a move that takes him inside to be a complete defensive end. Right now, he certainly has the speed and the intensity. I think the other things he'll be able to work with in the Brown organization.
He joins Bruce Smith, #1 overall pick in the draft in 1985, and Leroy Selman, defensive end in 1976, #1 overall pick in the draft. Bruce Smith will be a Hall of Famer. Leroy Selman is a Hall of Famer. Too Tall Jones was also a #1 overall pick. So at defensive ends, there's some pretty good pedigree. You picked one at defensive end, you turn out pretty darn good for a decade.
Really do, Chris. I think with Courtney Brown, you look at all that ability, and such a nice kid and such a humble young man. The intensity, I think that's something he needs to pick up. Talk about Bruce Smith with the fire, the determination. Once you get into the NFL and you're going up against those bookend tackles with the great technique, that's what's going to be interesting to see if he can pick it up. Arrington already has it. Brown needs to develop it in the National Football League.
That's Tim Couch, who you saw up there, who last year was in Courtney's spot. It's a nice touch by the Browns.
Well, he really is, Chris. But in regards to what Mel said, you know, I've been around some guys that really could knock you down, and they were nice. But when they put that uniform on, they all of a sudden found a nasty streak that you wouldn't see generally. I think Courtney Brown, when he puts a uniform on, becomes the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde of football. He plays with such great intensity.
Well, I tell you what, when you have about a half with 6 months to kind of make your decision, it's not that surprising that the coach who made this choice is readily available to ESPN. And that, of course, is Chris Palmer, the coach of the Cleveland Browns. He's with our Susie Colbert. And Suze, they got their man.
Chris, they certainly did. And Chris, we know how difficult this decision was. LaVar Arrington actually rated higher on the draft board. So why Courtney Brown?
Well, we had a long, healthy discussion about both players, and they're both outstanding football players. They come from an outstanding football program at Penn State. And basically what it came down to was that the defensive end is a factor in rushing the quarterback, and that's what we decided on. But both players are outstanding football players, and we couldn't go wrong with either guy, but we decided on Courtney Brown, and we're very, very happy.
There were some questions whether or not, because he's so polite and quiet, is he nasty enough for the NFL?
Well, I think if you go back and look at some of the Big Ten quarterbacks, when they threw an interception, he had a knack of turning around and hunting him up and knocking him to the ground. So I don't think the quarterbacks in the Big Ten think he's really a mild-mannered guy on the field. He's a guy that plays within himself. He's an outstanding football player. And when you see a guy that is a good student, is a good person, and is an outstanding football player, you like to see those guys finish first.
The Browns signed defensive end Keith McKenzie in the offseason, but we can assume that Courtney Brown will be starting at right defensive end. What adjustments will he have to make from the college level to the pro level?
Well, I told Keith McKenzie he would be the starting defensive end going into camp, and we'll have competition at every position. And, you know, Courtney will have to try to get the number one spot, and Keith's got to hold the number one spot. So it'll be an interesting training camp for those defensive ends.
And of course, Joe Paterno, his coach at Penn State, called Courtney Brown the best defensive end in Penn State history. Now we'll see if he can be the best defensive end in Cleveland Browns history. Let's go to Mike Tirico, who is with Courtney Brown.
Susie, thank you. Courtney, congratulations. Turn around a second. You have Bruce Smith's picture back here, Too Tall Jones, over there Plunkett, Elway, all the number one picks of all time, and now you're one of them. How does it feel?
Feels great. I consider it a blessing and an honor to be the first player picked in the 2000 draft, and I just want to give thanks to the Lord for his many blessings, and give thanks to my family, my mom and dad who made it out here, and just give thanks to my coaches back at school, everybody who played a part in this, all my family back at home, and Alvin, family and friends, everyone who's supporting this thing, and I just want to say thanks.
You mentioned Alvin, South Carolina, town of 800. They're at the Kinlaw's barbershop all watching and cheering, I'm sure, right now. Tell me what it's like for a small-town guy to be the number one pick in the draft here in the big city and really live a dream.
It's exciting, man. It's really exciting. It's hard to put into words, but I feel real good, and I'm thankful, and I just want to say hey to everyone back in Alvin.
Congratulations, Courtney. Courtney Brown, number one pick. Tim Couch handed the jersey, somewhat symbolic. We'll see what happens down the road. The Washington Redskins are the team on the clock next. And remember, at NFL.com and ESPN.com, Draft Central has you completely updated. You can join in and get in on the fan poll. Who will the Washington Redskins pick? They have the number 2 overall pick in the draft and number 3. They're on the clock. You look at their war room as we come back from New York and around the NFL.
This is a celebration of performance, athletic performance, and Pontiac performance. As an official sponsor of the 2000 U.S. Olympic team, Pontiac invites you to the Pontiac Performance Experience. Get 2.9% APR on Bonneville SE. Pontiac owners get an additional loyalty offer. You'll also get a chance to win a trip to see the 2000 U.S. Olympic team compete in Sydney. Just log on to Pontiac.com or call to enter and you could be there. Hey, your opportunity to experience exciting performance is here.
Boom! Stop dead in his tracks. That's how fast Tough Actin' Tinactin Pump Spray works. It stops the itching and burning of athlete's foot dead. The only leading brand so tough it prevents athlete's foot. Tackle athlete's foot symptoms in seconds with Tough Actin' Tinactin.
Introducing the new Knit and Sew Shop at Michael's. Explore thousands of fabric styles and thousands more online. Now, fabric is available in over 800 stores nationwide. Shop the new Knit and Sew Shop, only at Michael's. Everything to create anything.
Buick Certified Service Technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. Let us do the work. Take advantage of seasonal offers from Buick Certified Service, the ones who know your vehicle best.
Welcome back to New York. So Courtney Brown.
Now Washington wanted linebacker help for their defense, and they also selected another Penn State alumni. This being the second in a row Penn State alumni selected in this draft with the first 2 picks. The Penn State Nittany Lions had an amazing defense coming into the 2000 NFL draft, and it proved essential with their draft picks being high up in this draft.
Your first of the 2 picks immediately, you get the complete 30 minutes. So it's Washington's half hour. 15 minutes of fame. In Washington, it's 30 minutes of fame. Our polls, 61%, I'm informed, say they should pick LaVar Arrington. And the Skins, Joe, as you know, always try to please the Redskins faithful.
With the second choice in the NFL Draft 2000, the Washington Redskins select LaVar Arrington, linebacker, Penn State.
Double teammates.
Chris, I think when you look at LaVar Arrington, you're talking about a situation with the Washington Redskins where you need desperately help at the outside linebacker position. You need an attitude in the front seven that he will provide. I credit Vinny Serrato, Daniel Snyder for not playing games here and making Arrington the third pick, not creating any disharmony with negotiations early. Make LaVar Arrington the second pick overall. He deserves to be the second pick. He wanted to be a Washington Redskin all along. And I'll tell you what, when we look down the road 3 years from now, back when this draft, and you see a Lawrence Taylor Jr. Say-how type, LaVar Arrington playing for the Washington Redskins, maybe developing and being the factor behind the Redskins, maybe representing the NFC in the Super Bowl this year. What a pick this could be.
We talked about the nastiness of an attitude. You said Courtney Brown may have to develop it. When you have a young man like Arrington, he's a guy, there you see him coming out. He's a guy who's just really excited to be a Washington Redskin. He's coming to an organization that is bound and determined to build themselves a championship right now. That with the signings they've had, to be around a Bruce Smith, you almost have a situation where you get like Leonard Marshall and Lawrence Taylor were when you have an Arrington and a Bruce Smith playing next to one another. The thing that he's going to have to do is he's going to have to learn to play a bit more disciplined in this defense. He does have the opportunity to have someone like a Mark Harry behind him and a Sam Shade, veterans as safeties, so he will be able to be cut loose and go after the quarterback. The Redskins wanted a playmaker on defense. They got one.
Joe, you are right. They did get a great linebacker, and I'll tell you what, you see LaVar Arrington bouncing around, the attitude, the emotion. I tell you, he gets you fired up. There's no question about that. Look at the size, 6'3", 250, chiseled frame, tremendous speed and athleticism. You see all the production, the block kicks, the LaVar leap. Remember, this is a guy with a great running back in high school, scored 72 touchdowns at the prep level, was recruited in terms of basketball by the likes of Georgetown, UMass, and North Carolina. So the athleticism that he had at the high school level translated into all those sacks with the Nittany Lions of Penn State. You see him here. Watch this play. The LaVar leap into the backfield and nail the running back for a tackle for a loss. An incredible play here against Purdue. He got after Drew Brees, as Courtney Brown did that afternoon. Here against Pittsburgh, this is late in the end. The LaVar leap again, blocking the field goal. And you see intimidation in his game. Not just on a game basis in the big games, every week and every time he puts on those pads, he goes about his business in a very workmanlike, very serious manner. Here he drew a penalty flag, took a seat on the sidelines for a while, but when you look at LaVar Arrington, that's what he brings you, that attitude and the emotion and a passion for the game that really, I think in this draft, you guys, is second to none. I think you see here the causing the interception. This is the A&M game where Jerry Sandusky, defensive coordinator, his last game, LaVar Arrington, Courtney Brown set out the win one for Jerry Sandusky. They shut out the Aggies of Texas A&M. Arrington was the key guy there, and for me, I tell you, it wasn't hard to say, okay, who's the best player in this draft? In my opinion, there's no doubt LaVar Arrington is that player.
So what a proud moment, of course, for Penn State. Now, a few years ago, we had 1-3 go at the draft at the top of the at the 97 draft when Orlando Pace and Shaun Springs went 1-3 from Ohio State. But as far as 1-2, that's a different story. It's only happened twice. In 1984, Irving Fryer was selected by the Patriots, Dean Steinkuhler on the offensive line by the then Houston Oilers. 1967, Bubba Smith selected 1 by the Baltimore Colts. Clint Jones from Michigan State selected 2 by the Minnesota Vikings. Since the common draft, this now is only the third.
Now, Washington also had the third pick in the 2000 NFL Draft, having the second and the third pick in the first round of this draft, which was huge for their team. And Washington actually earned this by executing a blockbuster trade with the San Francisco 49ers on February 26, 2000. Washington sent 2 first-round picks, no 12 and no 24th, a 4th-round pick, no 119th, and a 5th-round pick, no 154th, to San Francisco to move up and secure the spot. Now Washington, with their second pick in this draft, selected a tackle who was going to be key for their offense later on. He came from the University of Alabama and won the Outland Trophy as the nation's best interior lineman in 1999, earning unanimous All-American honors before being drafted 3rd overall in the 2000 NFL Draft.
Who they wanted Arrington all along, and then the only difference was whether he'd be the second pick or the third.
I think they were pretty enlightened about the fact that they didn't want to start what they view as a long partnership with a potentially great player off on an acrimonious note by putting him, for negotiating purposes, behind an offensive lineman like Chris Samuels and in front of a Bengals pick for negotiating tactic purposes. I think they got some assurances that this will not be an acrimonious contract negotiation, that there will be an understanding he'll be in camp on time, Mike, and then also that he will accept deferred money as part of his signing bonus.
Ed, that is all important down the line to LaVar Arrington, but right now the important thing is being selected and being with family. I've never seen a larger family turnout at the draft. What do you have, 30 people here?
I shop for a lot of the same things. That's why I like Pays, the online checkout from the same banks and credit unions I already use. Same cards, ready to go right here. Same confidence, because my actual card numbers stay hidden from the store. So it's easy to be the same great me, because Pays is built for how I shop.
You mean for how we shop?
As long as it's on sale.
Dad.
Pays, online checkout offered by banks.
About close to 40. Yeah, it's a lot.
For you, what is this moment like? You thought about it all night, and there was some talk you might be number 3, you might be number 2. Did it matter? Did it send a message from Washington to you that you were the guy they really wanted since they took you number 2?
Well, I think they really want me and Chris, but I really just feel like, you know, we've been in close contact through the whole process, and I mean, look, you know, it's just, I think we developed a great relationship before the draft even came around. So I was pretty confident that that things would go this way.
All right, a chat with you at NFL.com, ESPN.com, Draft Central. We'll visit with you a little bit later. You have some family to hug and some people to talk to on the computer.
Can I just say one thing? I have a whole lot of family at home in Pittsburgh. Grandma, I know you wanted to be here. I love y'all. Hey, we did it. We're going to get it done. All right, and peace to all my people in Pittsburgh.
Why don't you throw it to Chris Berman since you're taking over the show?
Hey, hey, Chris, we're going to give it back to you.
Unbelievable. Go ahead,
He's already auditioning. You know what they said is he's infectious. We met him yesterday for 5-10 minutes. It is infectious, and he's already learned something about this business. The value of what we call a segue. That means moving seamlessly from one subject to another subject. He wanted to welcome his family members who couldn't make the trek here to New York. Family values at the top of the charts when we look at LaVar Arrington in the crosshairs.
In the crosshairs.
I'm LaVar Arrington, a linebacker from Penn State. The influence of my father growing up, you know, he went to Nam, and he raised me and my 2 brothers on yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, discipline. He ended up losing both his legs because his feet got caught in the tank tread. To know that your father, you know, almost died on the battlefield is, you know, it's kind of moving and humbling. My father was a great athlete too, so one day, you know, he's a great athlete, great person, and the next, he can't be a great athlete anymore because, you know, he can't run. For as long as it took for me to understand, you know, what my father really went through, I think is a testimony of the way my father deals with life. You know, I run for my father. You know, I look at it that way, but I run for my father. Me and my mother are pretty much exact clones. Like, we bump heads. We're so much alike. She's something else. She's a strong woman. She's a school teacher in the inner city, and she takes kids that in most cases wouldn't have a chance to succeed in life, and she gives them the training that they need so that they can have that chance and equal opportunity to be successful in life. I really adore my mother for day in and day out working with these kids, and I adore her so much and I admired her so much that was the major I took up in college. So, you know, in one aspect, I love to be like my father, and in another aspect, I love to be like my mother.
LaVar Arrington.
I should add this about LaVar. Yesterday, they were looking at that piece and some other pieces of Courtney Brown, et cetera, that you'll see later on in the program. They were in the truck, and really, you know, these kids don't have a chance to get in a TV truck that often, and they were interested in it. He said, wait a minute. So I got to go to probably Washington when the draft be. Can we come back to New York day 2 to host that with Mike Tirico? And I think he's already put in his dibs. He wants to be day 2 with Mike and Mel. So you and I are out of work.
We're out of work.
How did Washington get to pick 2 and get to pick 3 after they won the NFC East for the first time since the Joe Gibbs years? Well, they got this pick, of course, last year when they were the big dealers in the Ricky Williams trade that allowed the Saints to move up to take Ricky Williams, and essentially they got to move into this spot. That's the Saints pick. The third pick, which is on the clock now, is San Francisco's pick, but what they did was trade 12 and 24, or 4 and 5 for San Francisco to move up here. So that's how, courtesy of the NFC West, the NFC East chance the Washington Redskins try to further distance themselves in their division. This is Chris Samuels. He should be next. We'll tell you if he is. Back.
The Supercut, it's the I'm the Proud Grandpa. The I'm proud, but don't call me a grandma. The I'll always be cuter than you. The like father, like son. Whatever you call it, we can cut it at a price that looks good too. Supercuts, as hip as you want to be.
Honda of Tempe's got it all. Expanding inventory, cars galore, plus great offers with no small print. The price you see is the price you get.
Lease the 2000 Accord SE today for only $259 a month for 60 months. Includes appearance package. Absolutely zero due at signing. 3.9% financing available. Stop by Honda of Tempe today and choose from their huge selection of 2000 Accord SE.
Shopping's even easier online at TempeHonda.com. View inventory, make service appointments, order parts, and more. Stop by Honda of Tempe and take a test drive today.
Excited for the new NFL season? Then check out a goldmine of NFL action on ESPN Classic. It's the NFL Films Treasure Chest. We're digging up 9 straight hours of NFL nirvana. From classic gridiron greats to battles in the trenches. No one ever took you closer to the game than NFL Films.
They're killing me, Whitey. They're killing me.
The NFL Films Treasure Chest, Saturday, April 22nd at 9, only on ESPN Classic. To get ESPN Classic, call 1-800-CLASSIC today.
Auto insurance all seems the same until it's time to use it. With USAA, it's easy to file claims, schedule repairs, and access roadside assistance right through your app. Or you could take your chances somewhere else. Get a quote today.
There's not another speaker or any item really that you could throw into the ocean that's going to come out on the other end and be just as good as the day you threw it in. I mean, this thing floated 70 miles over 6 weeks in freezing salt water, and when you get up here and you see how vast and how remote this place is, it gets pretty scary pretty fast. And there's nothing soft about Alaska. This place is the roughest place to live. It was September 2nd, 2023. I had the thought that we were going to go fishing, but it was glass out there, like just glass. And Ray's like, well, let's go beachcombing.
So we got to the beach, we anchored, dinghied in. I hit the beach for my treasures, walking, and then I saw a tackle box or lunch box. So I picked it up and I drug it back to the dinghy all the way to the other end of the beach with all my other loot.
I saw Ray coming back and she dropped everything off, and I'm like, what's that? I said, is that a tackle box? And she goes, no, it's a speaker. I pick it up, I'm like, did you try it? She goes, no.
And Kevin just reached down and the button on it, and it turned on. Blue light straight across the top, and I'm like, I
pull out my phone.
He connected with it, Bluetooth, bam. We were listening to Phil Collins, Paper Lane.
And I'm like, this is cool. And we're staking sand and rocks and all sorts of stuff out of that thing. And yeah, I'll never forget that moment. It was amazing.
So we took it home. We cranked it all day long.
When we got back to Anchorage, you know, we had already seen the speaker, and on the backside of it, it had a whole bunch of stickers.
There was a green triangle vessel tag.
And one day I went to the fishing game office and I had the picture of the sticker, and they told me, yeah, it belongs to the ex-boat, ex-captain. Here's her contact information. I'm like, cool. So I gave it to Ray.
So I Facebook stalked her and I found her. And lo and behold, on the deck of her boat there is that speaker, that very speaker.
And the picture is the turtle box in the middle. I'm like, this is the speaker. This is the guy.
So I reached out to her, and she messaged me back. She said, actually, that was one of my deckhands, and he would probably love to get that back.
Because Ray and I figured, once we learned how much these things are valued at, that somebody's probably looking for that speaker. Somebody probably had a bad day and a lot of heartache over losing that thing.
My name is Leo Cooper. I'm from Homer, Alaska, and I'm a commercial fisherman. During the end of last fishing season, the weather was really, really bad, but we were going to fish it anyway because we knew we could do it safely. The waves were stacking up with wind opposing current, and I took a really rogue wave, and the speaker went overboard on the skiff. I thought I'd lost it forever. The only thing I took from it was at least I'm okay, but it's never fun thinking you'll never see some of your prized possessions again.
We had no idea how long that thing's been out at the sea, how long it's been sitting on the beach. We didn't know the history of that speaker. Comes to find out, it's been in the ocean for well over a month. It traveled almost 70 miles to get to where it was.
I reached out to him, and he was super excited and said, I really would love to get that back. He goes, oh, you're an angel. This is awesome.
The fact that she found it, pulled seaweed off, shook the mud out of it, and powered it up and connected to it, I was almost in disbelief.
Is there any other speakers that could go out to sea and last a month? I don't believe there is. I'd never seen one until we found the turtle box washed up on that beach. From a durability standpoint, most of my speakers that I've had in the past, if they went over the side, they'd go down to Davy Jones.
After Ray and Kevin returned my speaker, I was taken aback by the fact that this thing's not only survived the journey, but someone, out of the kindness of their heart, wanted to return it to the original owner.
It just seemed like the right thing to do. And I think we paid it forward, and I think we did a good thing for somebody else. And at some point, you get rewarded for that, right? And I'm now connected with Leo, a friend that I'll have for life.
Turns out we're cut from the same cloth, even though we live in different places. And this speaker really brought us together, and I wouldn't have ever met them without this experience.
New adventures, new friends, new beginnings. Right?
Cheers for being a part of this.
I just thought I did. A few years ago. Yeah. It is real quick. You need to get a picture of Pilot Bread. Pilot Bread.
You're looking live now. That's the ESPN zone. Some of the current NFL players. Tony Gonzalez, a #1 draft pick a couple of years ago, and a Pro Bowler. There's #1 draft pick a year ago, Damian Woody with the Patriots. And that's some NFL players who are chatting now at the ESPN zone, so you can get on the computer if you know how to do that. Some of us don't, so we rely on television.
I figured out how to do it. I can do that now.
The Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
This is a team that won the NFC East for the first time since Joe Gibbs.
Right.
This is a team that almost beat Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay, who then almost beat St. Louis in St. Louis. Therefore, if you do a little math, you figure they're not that far away, perhaps, from the Super Bowl. However, this was a team, Joe, that was in some serious turmoil for a lot of reasons. But they go out, and at the end of the season, they add Bruce Smith, future Hall of Famer, who can certainly still play, who may have had his best game of the year, by the way, in the playoff game you did against Tennessee. Right. They add Jeff George to back up Brad Johnson, who had a 4,000-yard season. You see anything that they've done to deter them from that path?
I think, first of all, you have to give an awful lot of credit to Daniel Snyder. Here is a guy who's taken his aggressiveness from the business world and brought it into the world of professional football. And you say to yourself, how can a young man who's been a fan so much be able to do so many things? Vinny Serrato, as general manager, has done a terrific job of spreading the money out, so they're really not going to get jammed when it comes to a cap. This football team is not looking to be just victorious in the year 2000. They're looking ahead. That's why when you look at a Chris Samuels possibly, or a LaVar Arrington, and you bring in a Bruce Smith, a Mark Carrier to go along with Sam Shade at the safety position, and then you have a Brad Johnson, whom they brought in last year, which really was the key for Norv Turner to get his offense going. Now you add Jeff George, because you have to have two quarterbacks in this league if you're going to be successful. This football team has postured itself not just to be successful now, but down the road as well. You gotta like what Daniel Snyder has brought to this football team. It's exciting to be a Washington Redskin fan again.
Well, and to bring it back to the glory days of the Redskins, of which you had something to do with and which you know a little bit about, I think the guys up front, known as the Hogs, were pretty important in the success of the Redskins.
Just a little bit.
And here's one Y2K style, Mel.
It really is. When you look at Chris Samuels and see how he compares to the other great offensive tackles over the years, and of course we're looking at Tony Baselli, Jonathan Ogden, Orlando Pace, their grades. Samuels cut below those three, in my opinion. I think you wouldn't categorize Samuels right now as a destroyer in run-blocking situations. He did start 42 consecutive games at Alabama. Then, of course, the knee injury late, missed the Orange Bowl, arthroscopic surgery. He's back to 100% right now from the injury. I think when you look at Samuels, outstanding pass blocker. He's not 305 anymore. He's 6'5", 322 right now. You see the size now up to 325. When you look at Chris Samuels, we talked about the pass blocking ability. We're talking about a natural left tackle with great feet. Here's against Alex Brown, who's an outstanding pass rusher at Florida, keeping him at bay. And remember, he's going to be protecting the blind side of Brad Johnson. Andy Heck also in the mix, but the blind side protection of Brad Johnson, who's had some durability problems in the past, he is going to be a key guy. And that's why the Redskins, third pick overall, you elevate because of need at that left tackle position. Chris Samuels, I think, will not be asked maybe right away to be the starter, but it won't take long before he is in that lineup. Andy Heck, kind of insurance. Here again, Alex Brown. See the natural feet and balance and technique that he has, the experience.
We need a fighter. We need Rebecca Bennett, a Navy pilot and a leader. She'll hold Trump accountable and end this reckless war that's driving up costs. Backed by Democrats across New Jersey, Rebecca Bennett, the Democrat who will fight back and win.
Welcome to Jocelyn, Maine, the ultimate style edit for home. Here, we curate the latest trends every season, hand vet them for quality, and ship them fast and free, so you can mix and match your look whenever inspiration strikes. We're kind of like style on speed dial. Whatever your style, bring it home with Jocelyn, Maine.
With all those starts, 42 consecutive starts before the knee injury.
The other thing, too, Bo, if you get a Chris Samuel and a LaVar Arrington, there's two young guys who work against each other an awful lot and get better as they grow.
So what are you telling me, that Chris Samuels is going to have a day off when he plays a game on Sunday? Well, you know, in our .com poll where you fans are participating today, 40% say they like Chris Samuels as the pick here. 40% say they should go wide receiver and the mercurial Peter Warrick. We're not quite mercurial, which is why he may not be the #1 pick. Well, the fans, the 40%, one of you were right. Let's go to the commissioner.
With the third choice in the NFL Draft 2000, the Washington Redskins select Chris Samuels, tackle, University of Alabama. The Cincinnati Bengals are now on the clock.
Young man from Mobile, Alabama, Chris Samuels. So he becomes the Hogs of the new generation, Joe. And you know, the names Jacoby, Grimm, of course, Grimm was a guard.
And actually, as a matter of fact, is the offensive line coach now for the Washington Redskins, Russ Grimm. So he's done a wonderful job with that offensive line. We mentioned Andy Heck being brought in. Andy Heck was re-signed at the left tackle position. It gives Chris Samuels an opportunity to work his way in. You don't necessarily want to throw somebody into the position. It's great to have the latitude to work him in. The Redskins now have got some depth in that offensive line. It helps them an awful lot. This is a football team that is just not built.
Now the Bengals have the 4th pick in the 2000 NFL Draft. They're looking for key weapons and some firepower for their offense coming into the 2000 NFL season. And they selected a wide receiver out of Florida State, just coming off of a national championship win. The wide receiver the Bengals selected actually came 6th in the 1999 Heisman Trophy voting, and he would go on to have an NFL career of only 6 seasons, but the Bengals are trying to make an explosive pick early on in the draft.
Brothers and sisters' shoes, trying to understand some of the emotions that go with this day. I think we forget that sometimes as we look. Well, there's the family, and of course we had a glimpse, or we'll have a glimpse, in the war room as well, with the Washington Redskins headquarters. And It's right, Joe. I mean, it's such an exciting day. It's a culmination of what you worked for thus far.
It really is. And again, it's when the front office and the coaching staff and all the scouts work so hard to find the right people that fit into not only your system, but also the needs of your football team. And that's exactly what the Redskins as an organization have done. They work very hard. You'll see as we gave you shots of the war room, Vinny Serrato on the left, Daniel Snyder on the right with their jackets off, Norv Turner very relaxed, sitting back, Foge Fazio, the new linebacker coach, Ray Rhodes, the new defensive coordinator, all very comfortable with the choices. And after this pick, they're pretty much done for quite a while now. The Redskins get to relax and sit back and really enjoy and watch the draft like everyone else.
Knowing that they got guys that probably will be in the starting lineup immediately. By the way, Anthony Munoz in 1980 was picked in the number 3 overall pick. That worked out pretty well for the Bengals. Some other picks since that time have not, which is our perfect segue to the Cincinnati Bengals. Once again, are picking early. Peter Warrick is on the phone. Is the suspense over this quickly? We'll be back.
Taco Bell introduces wild chalupas and wild gorditas. Ay caramba! It's your favorite chalupas and gorditas covered with our hot and spicy wild sauce. Caliente! A chunky, zesty blend of peppers, chilies, and other good stuff that'll really crank up the heat. Just 99 cents for a limited time. Excuse me. And make sure you pick up a drink. Only at Taco Bell.
Be careful with it. What is going on? There you go. There it is, guys. That's great. Hold on a sec. What are you doing? Okay. Oh, my God.
Senators, Maple Leafs, tonight at 7 on ESPN.
ESPN's presentation of the NFL Draft is brought to you by Alta Vista. Smart is beautiful. And by Taco Bell.
Last night, a lot of these top draft picks had a chance to sample the zone burgers and other delights at the ESPN zone, where we come from every Monday night and Monday Night Football.
I had dinner there last night, too.
Well, Norv Turner and the Redskins are now, as Joe mentioned, barring a trade, off until the 64th overall pick. They have no second. They got a third-round pick that's pretty high. But Norv and the guys can relax a little bit, so they're beaming. They're with Ed Werder right now, with the coach of the NFC East Division champs. Ed?
Well, Chris, and teams that win the Division one year are not supposed to pick second and third the next spring. That's not the way it's designed. It's almost unfair. You look at the War Room, and they were very excited when they made their 2 picks, and they got LaVar Arrington and Chris Samuels. Norv, did both of these guys come in right away and become starters for your team?
Well, that's certainly when you pick players there, that's what you hope to have happen. That's what we plan to have happen. We had it happen a year ago with our first 2 picks, Champ Bailey, John Jensen. We hope we can have it happen again.
Since LaVar Arrington can rush the passer, is that the area where he'll give you the most help initially, and does that reduce the learning curve for a rookie?
Well, I think we looked at LaVar and felt he's capable of coming in and playing linebacker, rushing the passer, covering, doing whatever we want him to do. When you look at the 2 guys, that's why our War Room looked like it did. It's really hard to please an entire room. But in a half-hour period, we pleased the defensive staff with Arrington and then turned right around and pleased the offensive staff getting Chris Samuels.
Now, you were in the wide receiver chase in the free agent market. You went after Joey Galloway to a point. You were interested to some degree in Keyshawn Johnson. Was Peter Warrick a consideration at all instead of Samuels, or do you look at it like we've got an immobile quarterback who's been injury-prone in his career? We got to get the left tackle.
Well, I think Peter Warrick was a consideration for everyone. You know, we felt we did what was best for our football team, and we feel we've got two great players.
What expectations for the Redskins now on the basis of what you accomplished last year and what you've done here today?
Oh, hey, we've got lofty expectations. We think we're going to be a real good football team. The coach will come out of me. We have a lot of work to do.
All right, let's go back to New York and Chris.
All right, Ed, thank you. When we saw Norv Turner in the offseason last year, go, shh, don't let our secret out. We think we're pretty good. Secret's long out this year, that's for sure. And by the way, number 56, outside linebacker, is that
Chris,
Joe?
Don't look at me, Chris. I've seen enough 56s. I'm glad to see somebody like that wear one, though.
And now, as the Skins will revel in their picks, the Cincinnati Bengals, who for the 6th time in the last 9 years own a pick in the top 6. A team that had the worst record in the 1990s, which is why perhaps they gave them a bye in week number 1 so they'd have an extra week to get over a decade of horrible football and move on to perhaps new strong football. They're moving into a new stadium, Paul Brown Stadium. They hope that this is the start of a new era. And if they want some excitement, they drafted Achilles Smith, quarterback, 1st round last year, very high. You might as well get him someone to throw the ball to. And with Carl Pickens' return question, and with running back Corey Dillon's return questionable, why not get the most exciting player in the draft, which is why this card is going to the podium.
It's there.
Right?
With the 4th choice in the NFL Draft 2000, Cincinnati Bengals select Peter Warrick, wide receiver, Florida State. Baltimore Ravens are now on the clock for the choice obtained from Atlanta.
Well, we can't say we're very surprised here, and he could have been number 1, but as we try to point out, he can be part of the solution to what's been a decade of problem, Mel.
Well, if you have Achilles Smith, you need that big-time weapon, and Peter Warrick could be that type of player. Certainly doesn't have the size or the speed of a Randy Moss, but he is tremendously creative with his hands on the football. You look at Peter Warrick in game situations, has tremendous moves, tremendous explosiveness. See the size there, about 5'10 and a half, only 4'6 speed. That was the concern. That's why I dropped the 4 when you actually factor in off-the-field concerns. But look at Peter Warrick here. The ability to make the tough reception, the great hands. This is a Louisiana Tech game, season opener. You see Barry Sanders types moves in the broken field here, reversing his field, changing direction, taking it all the way in for a touchdown. That was a close game up until that point. The game 14-7. They rolled in the second half. You see the ability on the short routes to take it the distance. Get his hands on the football, and he will make the difference. I think that's what Peter Warrick has. He's a former quarterback at the prep level, so you see the athleticism. Look at those moves. You don't see that in a lot of wide receivers who are more straight line. This guy's tremendous east and west and knows how to get the ball into the end zone. Look at the ability on the deep route to adjust and the concentration. This is against Virginia Tech, national championship game. Sugar Bowl. This is another punt return.
Now the Ravens had the 5th pick in the 2000 NFL Draft, and they selected a running back who would later go on to become an amazing player for the Ravens. And I actually posted out a post about this player for this video coming out. And the player that you may have guessed ran for the University of Tennessee from 1997 to 1999. He finished his college career with 2,677 rushing yards and 17 touchdowns. He was a standout running running back, and he was actually a freshman All-American in 1997, and helped the Volunteers amassing over 3,000 total all-purpose yards before being drafted into the 2000 NFL Draft, which is just incredible, and as you can see why he was a top player in this 2000 NFL Draft. He would actually go on to play for the Ravens, but then also the Browns.
He is a touchdown maker. He knows how to get in the end zone. He doesn't have to be that fast, but when he gets his hands on the ball, he can make people miss and he can make plays. It's an excellent choice for Cincinnati here.
We should say something else. I think everyone should root for every kid. Everybody wants these players to succeed. Everyone knows, it's well chronicled, that he had a little problem this past year with a shoplifting incident, okay? I mean, that's common knowledge. But I asked around the league to people who I really trust, and I got the same answer. They're not apologizing. They say, that's not baggage, that's college. Everyone you talk to says, he's a good kid. He made a mistake like that. This is not a major mistake. We think he's great character. And I got that repeatedly around the league, so that should be stated for record. Mike Tirico, Chris Mortensen, the Bengals have spoken.
Chris, thanks. You talked to his Florida State teammates, and they swear by the guy as well. You saw on the Draft Central, ESPN.com, NFL.com poll, some people thought Washington should have taken Warwick as opposed to Chris Samuels. Why Warwick sliding, quote-unquote, sliding to 4?
Well, you think about what the Redskins, and we alluded to this earlier. They took Desmond Howard once with the fourth pick. That was a bust. They took Michael Westbrook with the 4th pick. That's starting to get some results, but that pretty much is it in NFL draft history. Receivers taken on the top 5. It's about a 50-50 proposition for the Redskins, and they really needed their left tackle, and that's what they did with Chris Samuels. That works with the Bengals. They're happy, I'm sure.
Interesting how so many of those guys tie into today. Keyshawn Johnson, of course, the Jets trade will be the story in the next hour, and Irving Fryer, he and Dean Steinkuhler in '84, the last teammates taken 1-2 in a draft. Let's fire up our Tinactin video conference and bring in the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. That's Bruce Cosley. Coach, we'll ask you first off, did you get many phone calls and entertain any thoughts of trading that 4th overall pick that you just used for Peter?
Well, we got a few phone calls, but really, with a player of this caliber, we didn't entertain. They weren't that enticing, but we got a heck of a football player. Can you hear me?
Bruce, do you hear us? Apparently we're having some problems hearing Bruce. He does hear us okay, so I'll let you continue on then, Bruce, assuming that the folks at home are hearing. You have Carl Pickens. Is there a trade, I don't want to say imminent, but is that in the plans now that you've brought in Peter Warwick?
I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future, but now I have a good problem. I got 3 of them that can play, and we can put all 3 on the field, just much like Minnesota did when they got Randy Moss. And, you saw what St. Louis did to the whole league with their 3 wide receivers this year. So, that didn't really enter into it, what our other players. We just took the best, who we felt was the best player and an exciting player. And like Theismann just said, the fun doesn't start until he catches the ball.
And you've got a guy to throw him the ball from last year's draft in Achille. In your perfect world, would Corey Dillon, Warwick, Achille, all your weapons, including Pickens, Darnay Scott, all line up for you when the season gets started?
I sure hope so. And the other thing, it's the first time in several years here that we've had our offensive line coming back intact. So we should be able to move the football.
All right, Bruce, thanks. We'll talk to you during the weekend. Appreciate it.
Okay, Mike, bye.
Bruce Cosley, head coach of the Bengals. The 5 spot comes up next. That belongs to Baltimore. Remember, you can get online at ESPN.com, NFL.com, Draft Central. Who do you think the Ravens should take at number 5, or perhaps a trade? Our draft coverage continues from around the league after this.
Make Michael's your one-stop graduation shop. We've got decor and party essentials all in one place. Plus, order balloons perfectly timed for your party. Your grad deserves a celebration as special as they are. So turn their achievements into the party of the year.
I wouldn't.
What?
I just wouldn't.
On what?
Wouldn't do what you're doing.
I'm buying a patio set. What's wrong with buying a patio set?
There are people in there, my friend. People you don't know. Some good, some not so good. You want to give them your charge card?
I'm not worried.
You're not worried?
I've got people in there, too.
Hey, Brandon!
What?
Chevy Blazer. A little security in an insecure world. Blazer, like a rock.
Welcome back to New York. 1 hour into the draft, and every hour we'll update you on what's been going on. So if you do tune away for a while or you're outside doing something, come on back in. Every hour we'll get you updated. The headlines of this draft so far. Penn State teammates go 1 and 2 with Courtney Brown and LaVar Arrington.
The 2000 NFL draft was one of the best draft classes of all time, and going into the 21st century set the stage for years to come. And one of the players that you may have known being drafted in this draft came with the 199th pick, which you may have guessed is the GOAT himself. And this was just an incredible draft. And I posted out a draft video on the 199th pick, the GOAT in football, out on my shorts page. And just thank you all for watching, and just what an amazing draft this was, and thank you all so much. Stay tuned for more draft videos out in the future.
Moving up to the number 5 spot.